am a happy camper.
I've been all around the world, Main Street, USA. Every city, every place.
Why am I a happy camper? Because I'm doing a collab, and it's a World Book Day collab. If you're familiar with me at all, you know I am a huge reader. I am an avid reader. And a little fact that most of you probably don't know, there might be 2 people out there that know this, unless you're familiar with our family channel, Life's a Whirlwind. Oh, by the way, if you're new here, coming from another channel, I'm Dana, the Mouse Diva. Hi! Anyway, I have a family channel, Life's a Whirlwind. And in our family, we have 5 kids. My youngest son, Lakeland, his middle name is Reed. Anyway, I can't remember if I got totally to the point, but you might know that if you watch that channel. His middle name is Reed because I am an avid reader. Just spelled it R-E-E-D because it looks better than R-E-A-D. So I love books. I love smelling books. I am not a Kindle person. I won't say never. I can't think of any reason why I would ever read a book on a Kindle. I'm not an audio person. I don't listen to books. Unfortunately, I'm one of these. I don't even like people to read me a short passage from something, whether it be on the internet or something on their phone. I'm a tactical person, so I need to read it myself. I love the feeling of the pages. I love old books. I just love books in general. So when Heather from the Disney Housewife asked me if I wanted to join this collab, of course, I was all in. This collab is a little different. We didn't have to buy anything for anybody and ship it, which is marvelous. So this is how this collab worked. You filled out a questionnaire on your preferences, things that books you've just read, books you want to read, what type of books. When we got that person's list and we're looking over it, and we got to choose 3 books that we thought that they would enjoy. They don't have to come from their list of books that they want to read. They're TBRs, to be read. They didn't have to come from that. You could come up with your own as long as you thought that that person would enjoy it. You sent a short little video to your person saying, these are the 3 books that I have chosen for you. And then we would get to pick one of those books, read it, do a little tiny review, and put the video out today at 9 a.m. My person ended up being Heather. And these are the 3 books that she chose for me.
Hi Dana, I am your literary appointer, and I have chosen 3 books off of your wish list for you to choose from for our World Book Day collab. The very first one is Andrew Jackson and the Miracle of New Orleans, The Battle That Shaped America's Destiny. I am very interested in that one myself because Damon and I got married at Andrew Jackson State Park here in South Carolina. So that one is very interesting to me as well. The other 2 are Disney Twisted Tales. The very first one is Straight On Till Morning by Liz Braswell, and the other one is Reflection by Elizabeth Lim. I can't wait to see what you choose, and I'll see you on our World Book Day collab.
Heather, the book I chose was the Andrew Jackson book. I'm a huge history book buff, guys, huge. I prefer nonfiction, but I do love historical fiction, but this is actually nonfiction. Now, the reason I chose this one is because the other 2 books I was already going to read and do a review on this channel. Now, my reviews are a little different. I will link at the very end of this video my review, which really isn't a review. You just have to watch on Conceal Don't Feel. And that is like a retelling of Frozen. I was going to do one of those types of videos on these 2 books anyway. And I thought with this book, I wouldn't really do any type of review or anything on this channel on this type of book. So it gave me the opportunity to do that. So please don't click off just because you're like, ew, it's not a Disney book. It's a history Andrew Jackson book. The person that I sent a list too. None of her books are Disney. They're inspirational books. This is a very quick read. It's a very thin book. And shall we get started a little bit about this book? Because I'm sure you're probably going to learn something. Andrew Jackson is just 14 years old when the Tories found him and his brother. So the Tory ordered Andy to kneel and clean the mud off his boots. And he refused. He says, I am a prisoner of war now, and I want to be treated as such, meaning not being treated like somebody that's gonna, you know, clean the mud off somebody's boots. So that officer got mad, and because, you know, Andrew was being defiant, and he brought his sword down on his head. Well, instinctively, you know, Andrew goes to try and you know, block that blow, and it just like sliced through his hand. I mean, if he wouldn't have, that sword would have came down on his head, and Andrew probably would have been gone. But then the soldier is still very angry and then slashes his brother's head. Andrew, his brother, and his mother, his father had already died, are now prisoners of war. So they are marched 40 miles. And you got to remember, Andrew and his brother are injured. They are given no food, no water. At some point, the mother worked out like a release for them. So they are released, but they have this long journey ahead of them. Andrew has no shoes because they took his shoes. Well, his brother ends up passing away from his injury. The mother is getting extremely sick, and Andrew is, you know, he has a very, very high fever. You know, she's worried, is he even going to make it? Well, of course, as you probably already know, Andrew's mother passes away, and Andrew is alone. You know, that shame and humiliation of that time frame always stuck with him. So now he is 40 years old. Now, Napoleon is finally ready to sell some acreage. So guess what? We are into the Louisiana Purchase we bought over 800 acres for less than 3 cents an acre. That is how bad Napoleon wanted to sell. Lots are going on. I'm not going into all the details, but Andrew is ready to fight. He wants to fight. He is sure that the British is going to come in and try to take New Orleans along with everything else. He's ready to fight. All the guys in Washington, they are not, they're what Andrew calls old grannies. They're being old grannies about it. They won't declare war yet. And Andrew is not happy about that because he has always been a fighter, and he is ready to keep and protect what is ours. He's bringing in different Native American, different Indians that would normally kind of be against us, but they're seeing the same thing. Hey, we're gonna lose our land if we don't all like get together and fight the British together. And that's what's happening. And Andrew had a big part in getting these tribes and people together. So of course he's having to recruit troops. I mean, men that have never fought in their lives, didn't have the training, but they're all marching together, and things are really tough. Now, Andrew Jackson had at this point a lot of problems with his stomach. He was in a lot of pain, and the soldiers are noticing this. They're noticing that he is still going, he is still riding his horse, and sometimes totally like slumped over his horse. He's in so much pain. To keep everybody going. And so one of the soldiers mentions, well, he's just as tough as Hickory. So at that point, the men start calling him Hickory, and then it turns into Old Hickory. So that is how Andrew Jackson got his nickname, Old Hickory. Jackson is basically leading these men, and they don't have enough food, they don't have warm enough clothing, they don't have enough artillery, basically, but he keeps these men going, their morale going, and just he is not getting the reinforcement that he needs. And some people are not convinced that New Orleans is the target of the British. But Andrew is telling them they're going to take Mobile, and after Mobile, they'll go towards New Orleans. I'm telling you, and not everybody's believing them, and they're thinking they're going to go other places, and so he's not getting the reinforcement, but that is not going to slow him down. Now, during a time, not all Indians were on their side, and there was a battle where Andrew was injured in the left arm, and that will give him problems the rest of his life, that injury. There's basically a lot during what was going on. His left arm was almost useless, and he is still fighting. As the months go on, President Madison realizes that Andrew Jackson is the best general that they have. Now, totally off topic, except for the fact that I'm reading this book. In college, I was editor of the newspaper. I will often catch typos in books, and I actually found one in this one. And it says, this is how it is written: but Jackson could felt the pressure rising instead of feel. just a little tidbit Dana's throwing in there about a typo and a great, you know, and a book. Speaking of the actual book, the literal book, what I like about books like this with history is I love when they actually include pictures, maps, and diagrams. And I like it that they put like on these magazine covers, like magazine paper instead of regular paper. Now, remember during this time, Andrew Jackson, like I said before, his gut, and they keep referring to it as his gut in the book, is causing him great anguish at this time. Great anguish. All right, so we're going into New Orleans. You got to remember, New Orleans is the 7th largest city at this point. Andrew has recruited black men at this point, and although the officers still had to be white, a lot of people were not happy. They were kind of shocked that he was bringing in the black men. He was adamant about those black soldiers being treated just like the white soldiers. He didn't want people talking bad, negatively about the black soldiers. And I'm actually going to read a little quote from Andrew and about people if they had any prejudice towards these men. He said, "Be pleased to keep to yourself your opinions without inquiring whether the troops are white, black, or tea." Things are really looking bleak. They are completely outnumbered. So he is having to basically unite the city of New Orleans. He doesn't care their age, their race, man, woman, child. It does not matter. Everybody has to get together and fight. So he wants to build morale. Andrew Jackson was extremely good in building morale. Like, I would love to have, if he would have wrote a book on how to build people up, it would have sold like, it's like hot cake. He comes up with this brilliant idea. He's like, we're gonna have a grand parade. And this is what he does. So to build out everybody's morale, New Orleans was a city that loved a parade, and Jackson decided there was no better way to cheer and inspire the anxious townspeople. Anxious, not ancient. He announced there would be a procession in the city's central downtown square, the Place d'Armes, on Sunday, December 18th. On the day of the parade, the people of New Orleans crowded together in the doors and windows lining the square. Even more townspeople lined the balconies and roofs, and the surrounding streets were packed with soldiers and laborers and free men. With the towering old Spanish Cathedral of St. Louis as the backdrop, and accompanied by the roll of drums and the cheers of the crowd, 2 regiments of Louisiana State Militia marched in, most dressed in civilian clothes. That was the other thing. They didn't have fighting clothes that would protect them. They're just in basically the rags that they have. Now, here's a problem with the British. They were overly confident. They had no doubt that they were going to win this war and that they were going to take over New Orleans. a little too confident. They really felt that the people of Louisiana were like newly Americans, that they would not have any sense of patriotism, and that they were basically thinking that Louisianan people didn't think that they were Americans. And here is proof. Your slaves shall be preserved to you and your property respected. We make war only against Americans. Proof. They're not even, they think that the people of Louisiana don't consider themselves Americans. And obviously they were wrong. Finally, on January 4th, 3,000 men from Kentucky arrived. They had reinforcement. It just took those men from Kentucky a long time to get there. But here's the problem. They came unarmed. Only 1 in 10 had a rifle. But they had men. They had men that were willing to fight for America. And on January 8th, we won, guys. And we won because of Andrew Jackson's instincts, basically. He was and this is what I've learned from this particular book. He had a sense, we'll just say like a sixth sense on military maneuvers. We'll just say that. And because of him and all the people that fought with him, we won. And the British were really shocked, guys. I, of course, enjoyed this book because of all the extra history and the things about Andrew Jackson and other things. I won't go into everything else, but there were so many things in this book that made me go buy other books. I could go on and on about history, but I won't do that here. This is just basically a collab of just getting people to share what they are reading, not necessarily to read more, because everybody in this collab enjoys reading. It was just being able to express our love for reading and maybe bring a book or two to your attention. So, do I recommend this book? Yes. Any history buff out there, yes. It is an easy read. It is a short read. So high schoolers, if you homeschool your kids, this is a great, they don't need a huge history book. They just basically need some facts, and they're all in this little thin book right here. I want to thank Heather for putting this collab together. I would love to know what you guys are reading. So please comment below, because I really go off recommendations off books and covers. Yeah, I really like book covers. I'll pick up a book because of its cover. Just one of those. So I want to hear what you are reading. Please comment and tell me what you're reading or what you want to read, especially when it comes to a certain series of books. I love series of books. Okay, guys, I could go on and on about books. Well, let's talk Disney for a minute, shall we? Since this is, you know, the Mouse Diva channel. If you are looking for any type of Disney content, that is normally what I have on here. Although I have been doing some hauls lately, some shopping hauls that are not Disney related. But if you want Disney, I've got it here. Check out all those vlogs. I would love for you to join the Mouse Diva family. So hit that subscribe button, and I will see you at the parks.
Yeah. I've been all around the world, every city, every place. Always been a restless girl, but now there's a wind of change. I've never ever felt this way. Longing